And we start with this overnight news. SWAT teams have been out all night long surrounding this house near Coors in St. Joseph. It's in the northwest part of Albuquerque. The last we heard, the SWAT situation was still going on. Police are not saying who was holed up in a house there or exactly why, but we do know police have been out there. A lot of them been out there all night long. This is on Cisco Northwest. We'll bring you more information on this as soon as we get it. You can always check KRQE.com for updates as well. Happening now at 5:31, it has been a tough few days for a lot of people in and around Albuquerque, but PNM has finally restored power to all of those who had it knocked out by Friday's massive storm. PNM says it had to replace a lot of downed power lines and power poles that were snapped or damaged, destroyed. Those are all across the city. Now, at one point, about 30,000 people were in the dark. And it's not over quite yet. PNM says some folks may still experience temporary outages as workers continue to go ahead and fix everything that got damaged. And there are other signs that things in Duke City are slowly getting back to normal. A popular park reopened yesterday, 4 days after that whopper of a storm smacked Albuquerque. Roosevelt Park here on Cole near University was badly battered. It took 4 days to remove that massively toppled trees and clean up all the debris there. You should know Hyder Park in Nob Hill is still closed. That won't reopen until later this week. Well, a man who grew up in New Mexico could soon be second in command at the U.S. Department of the Interior. Mike Connor, who grew up in Las Cruces, was a former aide to Senator Jeff Bingaman. Connor is currently the head of the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. He was nominated for the new position at the Department of the Interior yesterday. We are following some developing news for you this morning. Coming up at 5:33, Albuquerque police now looking into claims by a pair of young girls that a man tried to molest and kidnap them yesterday. And we spoke with the girl's grandfather, who lives here near Riverview Park. It's on the west side. This is where this supposedly happened. The grandfather says that his granddaughter and daughter, who are 9 and 10 years old, were playing in a park just on the other side of a wall in their backyard when a man supposedly walked up, grabbed one of the girls, and touched her inappropriately. She says she went limp, and that's when he dropped her, then tried to pick up the other girl before she wiggled free. They both took off. They ran home, and they told him what happened.
They said that he had ran off laughing after he grabbed them. They were distraught. And it seems like everything's going to turn out okay for them, and hopefully he won't be back.
Brian Maggard there says he got into his car. He drove around the area looking for the guy, but he couldn't find him. Police aren't saying much about this, but they are investigating. And the girls describe that man as 40-ish, white with dark hair, wearing glasses and a blue sleeveless workout shirt. Well, the three men trying to become Albuquerque's next mayor weighed in on a proposed late-term abortion ban for the city that could be on the ballot in October. This proposal would ban abortions after 20 weeks, except if the mother's health is in danger. Now, the lone Democrat running for the mayor's office, Pete Dinelli here, opposes the idea, while Republican Mayor R.J. Berry and retired police sergeant Paul Hay are both in favor of it.
I will be voting against the law. I strongly support a woman's right to choose. This is a decision that has to be made by a woman in consulting with her physician.
That's 5 months. That gives a woman 5 months to make up their mind whether they want to have an abortion or not. I think that's plenty long enough.
If the city clerk verifies the proposal has enough valid signatures, the city council will have the option of putting the plan on the ballot in October with the mayor's race, setting a costly special election, or passing it themselves. Well, Pete Dinelli, again, who's running for mayor, has released his economic agenda, and it includes a proposal to spend $300 million to expand the Albuquerque Sunport.
I want to see a hub, either that of an airline or a cargo carrier. The reality of it is, Albuquerque isn't leading. It's time for Albuquerque to start leading. And as mayor, I will do that.
Now, Paul Hay, a Republican who's running, is not on board with the plan. He says there needs to be more businesses and jobs in the city to warrant this kind of an expansion.
I think it's working just fine. Maybe in the future, once we get our economy going, then maybe we need to look at it, but not now. It's absolutely not necessary now.
Mayor Berry is out of town, but his campaign says the plan would threaten the city's future. The city says the Sunport is capable of taking in an extra 4 million passengers per year as it is. Well, many people are not happy about how the state handled an audit showing more than a dozen mental health and substance abuse providers may have been bilking taxpayers. And now a mother who has a son who is mentally ill, says she's worried that he won't be able to get the help he needs.
I am fearful as a parent, because this is a fragile system with fragile people, and we need to support them, and what has happened has not been supportive, at least not to my family at all.
An audit that went on for 5 months exposed mismanagement among 15 mental health and substance abuse providers here in New Mexico. You can see them there all around the state. The state says the companies overbilled taxpayers by $36 million. So the state's Human Services Department froze Medicaid payments to those companies, including 2 in Albuquerque. The state is now paying more than $15 million to a company from Arizona to train and oversee the providers. Once new management is in place, Medicaid payments will continue once again. In the meantime, most companies must still provide service to patients. The governor says state action is necessary to avoid corruption.
Approximately $36 million are not going to those who deserve it and need it the most. Instead, it was lost, misused, misspent, or stolen. And we're not going to put up with that.
Attorney General Gary King has refused to release the audit publicly because his office, along with the FBI, is still investigating to see if anyone will face criminal charges. Well, 5:37 now. You've heard stories about people, most of them women, who like to write letters to prison inmates, right? Well, now it seems some inmates here in New Mexico are putting up profiles on a website seeking friendship, and that is against the rules.
Those type of technologies are not secure, and we want to make sure that they're not preying on people in the community.
The State Corrections Department says inmates are prohibited from having any sort of profiles on these kinds of sites. WriteAprisoner.com is one of them. It was created 12 years ago, supposedly as a way to connect pen pals with prisoners so they can trade letters, because most inmates are not allowed to get on the internet. Well, News 13 found a handful of inmates here in New Mexico with profiles. They can either have a friend or a family member post it for them, or they can mail in their information and the site will go ahead and post it. That costs $40 a year. The website's owner and president says because of the way it is set up, it does not threaten the prisons or anyone else's security. The Corrections Department, though, says the bottom line is it is against the rules. They are interviewing the inmates who have profiles right now. They say they have to get rid of them or else they could be disciplined.